Calaroga Shark Media.
From Atlanta, where, oh my God, this is Ballot.
That's right. I guess I'm working this weekend. Well, let's hit this. That was not good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gerontocracy Games, where two titans of Twilight duke it out for the chance to nap in the Oval Office. In the red corner, weighing in at definitely not 239 pounds, we have the Mar-a-Lago Marauder, the Combover Crusader, the man who puts the con in Constitution, Donald the Art of the Steel Trump. And in the blue corner, tipping the scales at where am I and why are all these people staring at me, we have the Delaware Dozer, the gaff machine, the man who makes Methuselah look like a spring chicken. Joe, I'm not sleepy, you're sleepy Biden. Folks, what we witnessed last night wasn't so much a debate as it was an audition for the lead roles in Grumpy Old Men 3, White House Boogaloo. Biden shuffled onto that stage looking like he'd just been woken up from a nice warm bath in the butterfly garden at Shady Pines Retirement Village. His hair was whiter than a Whole Foods in Vermont, and his eyes had all the focus of a kitten on catnip. Now, Trump's task for the evening was simple. Don't come across as the unhinged, democracy-destroying maniac that Biden's been painting him as. And credit where credit's due, folks. He managed to pull it off. Mostly by letting Biden do all the unhinged work for him. It was like watching a demolition derby where one car just parks and waits for the other to crash into itself. Biden's performance was so weak, Democrats are now frantically Googling, can we swap presidents mid-election? Is Weekend at Bernie's constitutionally valid? And how to fake your own death and move to Canada. His answers drifted into incoherence faster than my grandpa after his third scotch at Thanksgiving dinner. At one point, he proudly declared, "We finally beat Medicare." Joe, that's not exactly a winning campaign slogan for the Party of Social Programs. It's like bragging that you finally managed to unplug Grandma's life support, not the flex you think it is, buddy. But wait, it gets better. When asked about abortion, you know, that little issue that's only been dominating headlines and turning elections for the past year, Biden's answer was about as clear as mud in a sandstorm. He started talking about trimesters like he was ordering at Subway. Yeah. Can I get a 6-inch fetus on wheat? Hold the viability? Come on, Joe. This was your chance to hit it out of the park, and instead, you couldn't even find the bat. And let's not forget the moment when the moderators, bless their hearts, tried to give Biden a softball question about age concerns. It was the political equivalent of, "Is this your card?" And Biden responded by talking about chips and South Korea. It's like someone asked him what time it is, and he started describing how to build a clock. I haven't seen someone dodge a question that hard since my kid tried to explain why there was a dead goldfish in the toilet. Meanwhile, Trump was, well, Trump. He lied more than a teenager caught sneaking in after curfew, but hey, at least he remembered what office he was running for. He showed remarkable restraint, probably because he was too busy watching Biden implode in real time. It was like watching a nature documentary where the lion just sits back and watches the gazelle trip over its own feet. But don't worry, folks. Trump didn't completely lose his touch. He still managed to make some truly head-scratching statements. When asked about climate change, he went off on a tangent that made less sense than a flat earther's map collection. It was like listening to a random word generator that had been fed nothing but Fox News transcripts and Covfefe tweets. And let's not forget the moment when Trump, unprompted, declared that he didn't have sex with a porn star. Now, I'm no political strategist, but I'm pretty sure "I didn't sleep with a porn star" isn't exactly a winning campaign slogan. It's right up there with "I am not a crook," and "I did not have sexual relations with that woman" in the pantheon of things presidents probably shouldn't have to say out loud. More in a minute. The debate reached its comedic peak when these two octogenarians started arguing about who's the better golfer. I haven't seen two old guys this worked up since my uncles got into a slap fight over the last piece of pie at Christmas. It was like watching a world's most boring sports competition, where the grand prize is a lifetime supply of Bengay and compression socks. But let's talk about the real victims here, the American people. We're sitting here, watching two guys who were born closer to the Lincoln administration than to the present day, argue about who's fit to lead us into the future. It's like asking your great-grandparents to explain TikTok. Sure, it might be entertaining, but you wouldn't want them in charge of your social media strategy. And the Democrats? Oh boy, they're in full-blown panic mode. It's like watching a bunch of cats trying to herd, well, an even older cat. They're frantically trying to figure out how to replace Biden without looking like they're abandoning ship faster than rats on the Titanic. I haven't seen Democrats this nervous since they realized Hillary Clinton thought Pokemon Go was a type of sushi. One Democratic strategist summed up Biden's performance as horrific, which coincidentally is the same word my doctor used to describe my cholesterol levels. But hey, at least I can string together a coherent sentence about it. Now some of you might be thinking, but wait, didn't Reagan and Obama have bad first debates too? And you'd be right. But there's a slight difference. When Reagan and Obama had bad debates, they looked like they'd had a rough night's sleep. When Biden had a bad debate, he looked like he'd had a rough century. And let's not forget about poor Kamala Harris, who had to go on CNN afterward and try to spin this disaster into something positive. It was like watching someone try to convince Gordon Ramsay that a burnt piece of toast is actually artisanal charcoal bread. She said Biden had a slow start but a strong finish. Yeah, and the Titanic had a great voyage right up until that pesky iceberg showed up. But here's the kicker, folks. Biden's whole campaign strategy has been built around the idea that he's the only thing standing between America and a second Trump term. He's been painting Trump as a threat to democracy, a wannabe autocrat who'd turn the White House into a Trump-branded dictatorship faster than you can say fake news. And after this debate, well, let's just say that if Biden is our last line of defense against authoritarianism, we might as well start learning how to goose step. It's not that Trump came across as particularly presidential, mind you. He was still his usual mix of bombast, falsehoods, and logic-defying statements. But next to Biden's fumbling performance, Trump looked like he was auditioning for a most coherent senior citizen pageant. And in American politics, sometimes just being able to string words together in a vaguely sentence-like structure is enough to win. So where do we go from here? Well, if you're a Democrat, you're probably frantically searching for a time machine to go back and convince a younger, more vibrant candidate to run. If you're a Republican, you're likely torn between relief that Trump didn't implode and concern that your party's standard bearer is still, well, Trump. And if you're an average American voter, you're probably wondering if it's too late to convince Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to throw his hat in the ring. But here's the real tragedy, folks. In a country of 330 million people, filled with brilliant minds, innovative thinkers, and leaders in every field imaginable, we've somehow narrowed our choices down to two guys who were eligible for AARP membership when Friends was still airing new episodes. It's like going to a 5-star restaurant and being told your only options are tapioca pudding or prune juice. In the end, Biden's performance was summed up by one Democratic operative as horrific, which, coincidentally, is also how future historians will likely describe this entire election cycle. We're watching the world's most powerful democracy being decided by a contest that looks less like a presidential debate and more like an episode of America's Funniest Home Videos, Retirement Home Edition. Portions of today's podcast were created with the help of AI. And let's be real, if AI were running, it would probably be at 19% in the polls this morning. So there you have it, folks. The future of American democracy hanging in the balance, and our choices are a guy who can barely remember what year it is, and another guy who thinks the Constitution is just a suggestion. One can't string together a coherent sentence, and the other can't stop stringing together sentences that would make George Orwell say, "Whoa, dial it back a bit, buddy." As we look ahead to November, remember this: no matter who wins, the real losers are all of us. But hey, at least we'll have plenty of material for late-night comedy shows, right? Right? God bless America, and may the least senile man win. And remember, folks, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So keep laughing, because at this rate, we might be crying all the way to 2028. Good night, and good luck. We're all gonna need it.